Okay, it is Thursday, February 11th, 2021, and this is for nutrition and dietary choices. This is our first cooking demo of the semester for you guys, and because it's almost Valentine's Day, we want to have something that's a little bit sweet, but still healthy, right? Not totally bad for you, since this is a nutrition class. So today we're going to do some Valentine's Day chocolate-covered strawberries, right? So I'm going to walk you through the process. These are super easy to make, and you can make way more of them for less money than you can buying them already done, okay? And then get them nice and fresh, and then you can add your own toppings in them. So I'm going to give you lots of different options and ideas. So the first thing that we've got going on is back here on the stove. I've got a pot of water on here, okay? And I've got some chocolate that's already been melted from my samples from last period, okay? Now, I also have a paper towel here off to the side so that when I pull this bowl off, I'm going to set it here to drip off any excess water. I'm going to bring this over just like that. This is not quite melted yet. I'm going to add a little bit more chocolate in here too. Yeah. So this is Candy Melts. These are a coating chocolates, right? And you can use whatever brand you can find. These you can find in the cake decorating section of your retail stores. You can find some coating chocolates and things usually in the produce section of the grocery store, usually near the berries, especially this time of year. But what I'm looking for is a chocolate that's nice and smooth, and that's not quite it yet because this is not fully melted. So I'm going to add a little bit more of these in to the batch so you can see them up close. And these are a dark cocoa candy melt. Okay, so we're going to add some more in. This is going to go back on our water bath. So that water pot that I have on the stove, it's a nice heavy bottom pan. You want to make sure that it's something that's sturdy, that's not going to be wobbly with the weight, especially if a heavy glass bowl like this. And I want to add in, for about the bag of pound, chocolate that I have in here, about a tablespoon of vegetable shortening. So just a Crisco is fine, right? You could also use a little bit of butter. And what that's going to do is you're going to notice that it starts to change the consistency instantly. Makes it shinier and a little bit smoother, and you get way less of that grainy kind of texture. So we want to end up with a chocolate that is going to coat the strawberries smoothly, right? We don't want it grainy or gritty. So I'm going to give this another couple minutes on the water to finish melting the rest of it, but it's mostly melted already. You can already see that it's getting there. It's close, much better than it was a second ago, right? So I'm going to put this back on to our pan. So you want to make sure that the bowl can sit on top of the pot. You'll notice that I tilted a little bit to the side. So if there's a little bit too much steam, it's simmering too fast, that steam's going to go up onto that side there. You don't want it to be straight like this because then the steam can always come up and go back into your chocolate and seize the chocolate. And that makes it unworkable at that point. We don't want that. Okay. So we're going to have to go along with our dipped strawberries, right? Like I said, a chocolate strawberry is not the most unhealthiest thing you can eat, right? They're about 60 calories a piece for a good medium to large size strawberry, right? So having a couple of them as a treat is not going to do you in on your diets, right? So obviously we want to have strawberries. So the strawberries I've got here have already been washed and dried, and you want to make sure that they are impeccably dry, right? Because the chocolate will not stick if there's any water or moisture on the berries. So make sure that you pat them dry really well with paper towels, let them sit out on a rack to air out if you need to, and have those ready to go ahead of time. Now I also want to do some toppings to go with these. So we're going to take some sliced almonds. I'm going to chop these up. Nice little rough chop. Now, you could use walnuts, you could use pecans, hazelnuts, macadamia nuts, any of those will work, right? And these are sliced almond. They're just a little bit too big texture-wise to go on the outside of the strawberry. So I'm just going to give them a nice little rough chop, right? So remember when you're holding a knife, 3 fingers around the handle, thumb here on the blade, and you're curved on the side. Then this hand can go up at the top, right, to help stabilize. So this is what we call running the knife through. We just want to get those almond pieces a little bit smaller, so close to the size of sprinkles. That's going to make it easier to stick to our chocolate coating. And then this also gives us some good healthy protein, right? So then they're not totally bad for you if you have some with some nuts in there. Right? You got your fruit, you've got your nuts, a little bit of chocolate for energy. Right? So this is a nice way to have a treat without going crazy on the chocolate. Like I said, any good nut will work, but you're going to want to chop them up so you have nice small pieces. And then they're going to go into a small bowl for dipping, right? Because your berries are going to get coated in the chocolate first, but you want something that's going to easily stick to that chocolate for that second dip. If anything looks too big, chop it up. So we're looking pretty good. So you can see the texture of this now, right? It's at about the size of sprinkles is fine. That's good enough. I've got a bowl here with some already started. Add these in. And there's our nuts, right? So those are all set and good to go. So we're going to move this cutting board and things out of the way. So another little trick too, you'll notice that my board's not sliding anywhere, right? And I have a nice slippery counter, granite here. So underneath the board, a little damp towel, right? Damp paper towel or a little cloth. That's just one of those little handy wipes, right? It's good for cleaning as well. Underneath the board, we'll stop it from sliding. Okay. And that way you're not trying to chase the cutting board around at the same time that you're cutting. Okay, always safety first. So the other thing that we're going to use is some rainbow sprinkles, right? You can use dark chocolate sprinkles, milk chocolate sprinkles, but we want something just for a little pop of color, right? And this makes it fun if you're going to have any of these going to any little kids especially, but adults like sprinkles too. I let them fool you. So we've got our chocolate melting back here. It's looking really good. Want to get it nice and smooth. I'm just scraping the sides of that bowl, making sure that there's no big chunks left. And then we're getting a nice smooth finish to this. We're just going to give that in a minute. Keeping an eye on that heat so it's not too hot. We want to set up our pan. We need some place to put all our chocolates. So you could just use a cookie sheet, right? Just like this, a nice non-stick cookie sheet. I am going to put some wax paper over it because it's going to make it easy for cleanup. Because you're going to see how much of a mess it ends up afterwards, right? So just a piece of our wax paper or parchment paper on top. That's all you need, right? So we're just going to set this to the side for a minute. And we're going to get ourselves kind of set up so that everything's all together, right? So we want to have our nuts and our sprinkles. Go this way so you can see a little bit better. We've got our strawberries, right? Our tray over for our finished strawberries. Okay. Now these will hold up for a couple of days, the chocolate strawberries, but they usually don't last that long anyways. You can make them the day before. But they're really quick to do the day of that you're going to give them as a gift. And that would be the best, so it would be the freshest, right? So with the chocolate melted, like I said, it's got a little bit of that Crisco shortening in there, right? So now you can see it's a nice drizzly consistency, right? You want something that's smooth. I'm going to bring this over to the paper towel because there's a lot of water on the bottom of that bowl. I want to let that drip off first, so that way it's not going to drip all over my counter. That is really super hot water. So we're going to set this to the side for just a second. Now, while we're doing this part, we're going to let a little bit of pink chocolate melt. And I have a little bit melted here, but I'm going to add some more in. So the candy melts, you can buy these in all kinds of colors to match whatever holiday it is, right? So these happen to be the little pink ones, right? So a nice bright pink. This will be a good contrast of color with the dark chocolate. It'll add a little bit of fun. And I'm going to put about a teaspoon's worth of shortening in this one as well. Like I said, and that's just going to help it to melt a little bit smoother and a little shinier. So this is going to go right onto the water bath back here. I'm going to tip your pot a little bit. And I'm just going to keep an eye on that. I'll stir that every once in a while just till it's melted. It'll only take a couple of minutes because it's a small amount. Okay. So now here is our setup. We've got our chocolate. Already melted. Like I said, this is the dark cocoa melt. You see that consistency, right? This is what we're looking for. Something that's going to coat really smoothly to the berries. We've got our toppings here. So we've got our sprinkles and we've got our chopped almonds. And we've got our berries. Okay. Berries are the star for today. And you'll notice that I have all the greens on the berries, right? And the reason for that is it makes a great little handle for dipping. So we're going to come in and dip the strawberries about 2/3 of the way up the berry. I still want to be able to see a little bit of red, right? Because I want to have some color contrast. So when you dip it down in, just kind of tip your berry a little bit, depending on how deep your chocolate is in the bowl. So you still want to see that little bit of red on the top. Give it a little shake, right? And scrape the edge off on the bowl or your spatula. So we want to make sure that we don't have a ton running off of the berry, okay? And now I'm going to dip them into the nuts about 1/3 of the way, just at that bottom edge, okay? And then set them on your tray with your wax paper off to the side to cool. So I'm going to do this a few more times. So dip it in. So getting that excess off is important because otherwise it'll glop up your toppings, but also it'll create a weird flat spot on the bottom of the strawberry. It's not as pretty. So take off that excess, right into those sprinkles. Okay. And you can do some plain. They don't have to all have toppings on them, right? Because we're going to add a little bit of pink drizzle on these, so these will just be plain with the pink. Okay. Put that to the side. So a nice big one. So I like to pull those greens up out of the way so that way they're not getting coated in chocolate either. They said, so just tip your berry, coat it, give it a good little shake, a drizzle, comes off, wipe that excess into those nuts. Okay. And so I'm going to keep an eye on this pink chocolate back here, give this a little quick stir. Melting nicely, it's still got a little ways to go. Give that another minute or so. So we dip. This is a really weird long berry. That's okay. Wiping that excess off. Okay, there we go. As much as you can. And don't worry about the dribbles and things on the wax paper. That's why we're using the wax paper, right? That'll help contain any mess. It'll make it nice and easy. You could do these. They have the white candy melts. They have milk chocolate. You could do them straight in colored chocolate. You know, so if you wanted to do some white and pink and red and things like that, absolutely. That's what's fun about it, right? I like the dark chocolate for the flavor, but also for that color contrast. Right. A little bit of those rainbow sprinkles. Right. You could use a regular chocolate sprinkle as well. That'll still give you texture. Not as much color contrast, but it would definitely show up on a white chocolate. Do a couple plain. Do a couple more chopped. Now this chocolate is going to be left. I'm going to have some today that I'm not going to use. I'm not going to have enough berries to use up all of this chocolate, right? But I'm not going to waste it either. So I will take this while it's still liquefied, scrape it into a bowl, a storage container, right, with a good tight fitting lid. Let it cool. Put it to the side. Does not have to be refrigerated. Just let it cool, and then the next time you need to melt chocolate, you can reuse it. It is best to reuse it to add a little bit of fresh into it. You will get a better texture. But you could also just add a little bit of shortening into it too, again, to help give you a little bit more shine if it tends to lose that some. But don't waste it. Don't throw it out. Like I said, so we're dipping those berries 2/3 of the way up. So we still want to see a little bit of that color. About 1/3 of the way for your toppings. Now these won't take long to set up totally. You can put them in the fridge 5-10 minutes and this chocolate will set right up. We're going to wait until we're all done with our steps though, because we're going to add our pink on still. I'm checking that right now. just about there. So we've got our last berry here. Little one. Right, we'll leave this one plain. Right, remember to shake off all that excess. Okay. Let's move a couple things out of the way. We're going to move our dark chocolate. And now the pink is nice and liquefied. Okay. We're going to use this as our drizzle to give this a little extra fanciness. Take that off. Remember, onto the paper towel or cloth or dish towel, something like that, just to get that excess hot water off. So that way you're not dripping it on yourself right across the floor. And we have our pink. Like I said, this comes in beautiful bright colors. They come in pastel colors. It's just food coloring, you know, in the candy, right? And this is going to be a white chocolate flavor. Okay. You can see how liquefied this is, right? Beautiful. Got a lovely color. And now what we're going to be doing is doing a drizzle, right? And you can do that with a spatula, also a fork. Okay, so I'll move a couple of things out of the way here. So just a regular dinner fork will work as well. Or you can take a spatula or a spoon, whatever you've got on hand, right? But the thing is being up higher above the chocolate, right? Like I said, so you can just use a fork. Do a little flicker. It's like art, right? It's like splatter paint. You just want to get a little bit of pink on each berry, right? Just give it a little pizzazz. And this will only take a couple of minutes to set up in the fridge. So these will hold in the fridge about 2 to 3 days. Anything more than that, they tend to get a little bit watery inside. The strawberry part does, and the chocolate starts to fall off. So you want to have these as fresh as possible. But now you see why we used the wax paper, right? So this is your Valentine's chocolate strawberry, right? So we have some great fun to them. You can already see I'm going to carefully pick this guy up, even though the pink drizzle's not dry yet. But look at that, right? We've got our nice texture. We've got the nuts that are adhered to it, right? Here with the sprinkles. And then we've just got our beautiful contrast here, you know, of a little bit of dark chocolate and pink chocolate, right? So beautiful presentation, right? It's something that's still sweet, you know, something that's not going to be super unhealthy. Like I said, about 60 calories for a medium-sized strawberry. With the sprinkles and things, maybe 65, 70 calories. But adding the nuts, a little added protein, things like that. But this is one way to, you know, eat a little bit healthier, still enjoy the holiday, but not go overboard, right, on the calories. You can have a couple strawberries, not feel bad about it, and they look beautiful, right? Some places sell these for $5 a berry, right? There's no reason to spend that kind of money. You can make them at home yourself, okay? So that is our chocolate-covered strawberries. So hopefully you guys get a chance to try this with other various fruits too. So pineapple is great dipped in chocolate. Cantaloupe, honeydew melon as well. So give it a try. Don't be shy. Happy Valentine's Day.